I'm sure most of us know about divorce generational curse breakers, but most of us do not know about marital abuse generational curse breakers. And this was the first time I heard of this term when the Holy Spirit mentioned this just last night. And he told me that I am a marital abuse generational curse breaker. And when I look back in my own life, in my own marriage, been married for, it will be 18 years in February, we've been together for 22 years. And when I look back and I look at my own family, my father's side of the family, looking at my aunts, there were some aunts who were in some very toxic marriages. One of them is the one whose husband is paid off an official when I was raped from the age of 6, because it was his nephew who was raping me. And he had a distasteful tongue. The words he would use with his mouth, because he had money, so that he thought that gave him permission to just speak as anyhow. And I saw how his wife would shrink when she was around him at that very young age. I could pick up at how she would just shrink every time he was around. And I also experienced this abuse in terms of him calling me derogatory words. Like one of the words he would call me was nomoko, which is a derogatory word for promiscuity or a promiscuous woman. So she's one of the people. And then there was another aunt who got married to a man who cheated very much on her. He was a serial cheater. And I watched this woman being in those abusive marriages, even though they may never have laid their hands on them, but the abuse was there in terms of demeaning words and also just the mistreatment. But they took care of the man until the man died. This is the same also with my mom. With my mom, there was even a physical element to it. Because the man, her husband, would start saying mean words about me as I was not his child. He would say mean words about me, then she would react. Then there would be this fight in the middle of the night as my sister and I are sleeping, and then they would start fighting, and he would like call me word names, like that I'm a child who's born out of wedlock. So he would say these things, and I would see them fighting. And I did not know how much this would affect my own life. But now, looking back at my own father, my father who died when I was 8 months old in 1983, 26th of December, he died. He was on his way to the beach with his cousins, and he died on the car accident. He was drinking. Because every picture of him that I saw, there was always alcohol in front of him. So he preferred to have fun and leave his young child with this woman. He did not get married. He did not marry. I don't know if he intended to marry her or not, but with this woman, and then he went and had fun, and that's how he died. And I did not know how much this seeking that love of a father would affect me, because now that is exactly the kind of man I attracted and I married. The man who drinks and drives, the man who has such a distasteful tongue, the choice of words. And throughout our marriage, this was there. Throughout our marriage, from the beginning, the words he would use. And to me, I would even justify and make excuse for him, because in my mind I would like think people are not going to believe me, and he has not laid his hand on me, so this cannot be abuse because he has not laid his hand. So I would justify and make excuses, and I would even picture his sisters just not believing, because I'm sure they have never heard him utter the word F you. How he treats his 4 sisters and his mother like eggs, with respect and dignity, and yet how he treats me. So the abuse has been there. Just to mention a few of these instances. One was when every time he felt like he was pressured, he felt like he was under a lot of pressure, then there would be this outburst of rage from him. So this was one of those times I was in a position where I wanted to buy a car, because at the time he had borrowed a car from his cousin, and he was always complaining, saying that his cousin wants his car back. And now I wanted to buy myself a car. I couldn't, because I had these financial obligations that I was taking care of him, of our household. So I was removing some of them and telling him to take those responsibilities. And I saw the rage in him. And then one night, as he was sleeping, I just had this feeling of just going through his phone. That was the first time of going through his phone. And when I went through his phone, there was these naked pictures from this woman. And when I confronted him with that, he looked like he was sorry. And then he stepped out to go and smoke, and I locked the door. When he came back and found that the door was locked, the anger to break that door down. And that's where he said he will break me and he will go to jail, and then he will come back and break me again. And when I told his father about this, he said, no, he's not going to do that, Makoti. He will never do that. And that is even my story with the sexual abuse, the rape I had experienced from the age of 6. No one believed me, because even the women in that community, they all turned and worshipped this man, because this man was a respectable man in his community. He had money, and who was I? No one believed me. No one protected me. So even with this one, I thought, like, people are not going to believe this. This man, when he's in front of people, he's this respectful, integral, faithful. People see him as this. But when it is because of me, and I've never taken this abuse as if it was my fault, because I have come to understand that in a marriage we mirror each other, and therefore he was abusing me because he did not love himself. He had an issue with himself. So when he saw me, I was the mirror. And until the Holy Spirit said this to me, one door was in, one leg was in and another leg was out of this marriage, because I have this thing of saying the Lord will restore it. And I say the Lord will restore it because again in 2020 there was another situation. He had gone again for about a week, his work was paying for this managerial training that he was attending in Cape Town. So he was there for a week. When he came back, as I was unpacking his suitcase, I found a condom, and we got into this again fight, and then then now it led to me deciding and saying, no, this is the end of it. This is the end of it. And when he moved out, he swore at me again, as he was so angry. He swore at me, and then now this is when I got saved, after I think a month or 2 after he had moved out. That's when I experienced the Holy Spirit in my room, because this was affecting my children. And now I felt the Holy Spirit saying to me that I should apologize and make amends. I even asked the Holy Spirit to show me signs if this really was what he was saying to me, and he did give me 3 signs. So I thought, okay, the Holy Spirit is going to restore this marriage. We got back together again. At the time we had 4 children. We got back together again, and then we had our 5th child in 2021, and things never got better. And now, as I'm in this now process of, course, now he has been feeling again this financial pressure, and he has been calling me stupid, he has been calling me spiteful, he has been calling me he's been calling me a psychopath, he's been calling me so many words, effing me, all of these things. He's been saying all these things to me. And now I've been asking the Holy Spirit, but why then did you say, did I feel that you were going to restore this marriage back then? And for the first time, I felt the Holy Spirit saying to me, if I had gone through with the divorce in 2020, I would have gotten again married to the same exact man, because I had not gotten to the root of exactly why. And the root of it is rejection, feeling rejected by my dad, who died because he had other priorities. He was focusing on himself, and that took his life. Drinking and driving took his life. And then here I am again, attracting the exact same man, because I wanted that fatherly love. And now here I am being abused in this relationship, in this marriage of 18 years, been together 22 years. And the Holy Spirit said I would have gotten married to the exact same man. So now that's why he had to go through this process and feeling this pressure. Now I could see exactly. Because back then I was not going to say I divorced him because he was abusive to me. I would have never said that. I divorced him because he was abusive. But now I can say I'm divorcing him because he's abusive to me. Even though he has never he does not need to lay his hand on me. But when he's demeaning, when he's dismissive, disregarding my feelings, talking down on me, that is abuse. And many of us women, we make excuses, but he did not. Yet he did. Because society tells us that abuse is when he lays his hands on you. If he's talking down on you, calling you stupid, that is not abuse. And let me tell you, because now you are two in one, and therefore blessings are not going to come for as long as he's mistreating you. You will always labor in vain for as long as you are in this toxic relationship. God does not regard it as instituted by him, because yes, he was your choice as much as he was my choice, this one too. And God is saying he is not the one I have for you. He is saying he is rejecting this marriage, and therefore you will never experience blessings of the Lord in your marriage, because it's not the one he chose for you. So as long as you are with him, you are missing your blessings. Because until you are with the one, you're the one. And I'm 41 years old now. And to look back in my life and see all of these things that have happened. All of these things that have happened. And how this affects my children. Because we may say, no, this is just me. One of the examples, or even two, was that when my daughter was 16 years old now, when she was about around 5 and 6, her father beaten her with a belt, and I felt like I failed her because I did not speak up for her. I did not stand up for her, and this ate me up for years. This ate me up for years because I did not stand up and speak up for her. She could not speak for herself back then. And now my daughter she feels like she is not beautiful. She has all these insecurities. And I truly believe it stems from that. And another one now, the one who was born in 2021, she is 3 now. And she's the one who is experiencing this rage, seeing her father shouting at her mother, seeing her father grabbing my phone, wrestling with me and taking my phone away from me, being woken up from sleep by her father shouting at me and calling me names. I know it's affecting her. I know it's going to affect her at an older age, in her choices of men, in how she views herself. It's going to affect, I know it's going to. Because my father died when I was 8 months, but it affected me on who I chose to marry. But at least now I'm aware of it. And I can heal together with my children. But I don't have to stay in this marriage because, as I'm saying, I want them to have both parents under the same roof, whereas there's this abuse and toxicity, because it's going to affect them one way or another, whether I like it or not, and it already has. So this is what I'm saying, as this version of myself who is on the journey of healing, who is aware of my own responses and my own relief mechanisms of how I relieve myself from discomfort and fear and insecurity, which is through people pleasing. As this version of myself, as I'm looking now at the different stages of the versions of myself who were desiring to have someone speak life to them, who were desiring to have someone, a father who protected her, but he was not there. As I look at those various ages of myself, and I say to you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Oyama. I'm sorry that your father valued more alcohol and fun than being with you and raising you and protecting you. I'm sorry that he was not there when you were raped from the age of 6 years, and that no one protected you, no one believed you. I'm sorry that your mother abandoned you when she gave you over to your paternal grandmother and aunts to take care of you, and you did not speak to her for years. I am sorry that your mother brought yet another man who was abusive, and you watched her being abused right in front of your eyes, being spoken down on, and you watched her taking care of this man until his death. Yet he did not respect her, yet he did not even build a house for her when he had a permanent job that was paying him well. I am sorry that you made some very poor choices because of how you were and your experiences of the things you experienced from the young age. I'm sorry that you've never celebrated yourself, you've never celebrated a birthday, and you've never celebrated a milestone such as graduating from varsity. You've never celebrated because you've never felt worthy of it. You've never celebrated buying yourself a car because you've never felt worthy of it. I am so sorry, Oyama, that you stayed in this marriage that was so abusive because you were more familiar with an abusive relationship than a healthier one, because you thought so low of yourself that you did not value yourself, that you did not love and appreciate yourself, that you were seeking love from a man who abused and took advantage of that. I am so sorry, Oyama, for all the hurt, for all the years you've worked and labored in vain, because you had all this baggage that you carried, and you could not accept any love and any appreciation from outside people because your hands were so full. I'm sorry that you failed your daughter when she was 5 years old and you did not protect her from her father, who was beating her up with a belt. And this has eaten you up for years. I'm sorry that you've placed your children under this abusive marriage because you thought you were doing it for them. I'm sorry that you feel like you failed them. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And to my daughter, who is 16 years old, I am so sorry for not protecting you, for not speaking out. I am so sorry for getting irritated whenever you ask me if you look pretty. I am so sorry that you don't feel confident about yourself, about your self-image, that you don't think you are pretty enough. I am so sorry that you've been bullied and you've been told how tall you are and all these things that have made you feel like you are not beautiful and valuable and worthy of being loved. I am so sorry, baby girl. I am so sorry. And to my 3-year-old, baby, I'm sorry that you've experienced the shouting and the words, the distasteful words that your father have used before your mother, to your mother. I am so sorry to have placed you in that situation. I'm sorry for not protecting you. I'm sorry for how this will affect you on your relationships and how you give yourself to men in relationships. I am so sorry.